Okay, and we are live. Welcome to episode 8 of Recall Japan. As always, I'm Kevin, and with me is Josh. How are you doing today, Josh?
I'm doing well. It's 3 a.m. over here in the States, and hopefully, we've talked before about having short episodes, but I think this one will actually be our first episode that's under an hour, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully. Every time we're like, oh, there's not much to talk about, and we just talk too much about one team or go too far in one way. So hopefully this time we'll keep it around 30 minutes, maybe like 40 at most. But we'll see. We'll see about that. How was your
Yeah.
week off with no LGL? For some reason, week 10, there's a gap between 10 and 11. Did
I
you
was a
do
little
anything
bit
fun?
sad because I had stayed up a little bit later than I normally do with the goal of actually watching the LJL, and then I was like, wait a second, there's nothing to watch, and so I was sitting there with some snacks, something to drink, and it's like, well, I got all this preparation done. I guess I have to watch LCK. Oh darn! But it was, it was a good time. It was a good time. I've had a lot of fun over the past week. What about you? What have you been doing over the past couple of weeks?
Same old playing games, streaming, working. I actually didn't know there
Yeah.
was no like LGL last week until like the day it was Saturday. I was like, oh, where's the LGL? Why isn't it starting? I was like refreshing the page, saying like, oh, I can't find it. And I look at the schedule. I'm like, yeah, oh, it's a
Oh, it's
Sunday.
Gap Week.
But then I didn't notice it was the 13th or something like that. Oh, wait, what was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it
have
was
to
the
imagine.
18th.
Yeah, so
Uh,
that's coming up this weekend,
yeah, this
right? Yeah.
weekend. So it was August 11th. Staying up trying to wait for the LGL. It didn't happen because I didn't notice that it was Sunday, August 18th. So that was fun to have
I'm
a
sure
nice
somebody
break.
somewhere knows that there was something going on at Yoshimoto Hall already, and they didn't have the opportunity to schedule it. Something going on. I don't really know. We'll talk about more about our thoughts on the regular
Yeah.
season later on. First off, we got a couple small topics to talk about. I just want to talk about Crest Gaming Act a little
Hmm.
bit. They brought Nat back last week, couple weeks ago. I think he's played for 2 weeks now. And they made a recent announcement, or it was made by the LJL, that they are going to be subbing out Hachamacha for Yoshi this weekend.
Yes.
And I'm going to be honest, I know nothing about this guy.
Yeah, I don't think anyone knows anything about this guy. He's like a straight out challenger or straight out of like scouting grounds. Just some
Yeah.
random player. Um,
Yes. So I did a little bit of research, right? I was looking at the scouting grounds in Japan back in March, and I saw that one, since everybody's playing underneath their solo QADs, Donshu is one of the other big players that came out of that's now playing in the LJL. Yoshi's also playing. But you look at the players who are involved in Yoshi and the rest of his team, who their solo queue IDs were Makinyan, Yasai, Manimo, and Pooh. And one, I don't know if I know any of the rest of them because they might go by something else now. But they didn't win. So we were talking a little bit before about how it's really hard to judge how strong a player is based on scouting grounds in a lot of ways. So yeah, it feels like a really weird choice to me.
yeah, I don't know like Yoshi that well. I know he did play in the scouting grounds, but that's it. And there's some other players that's like high on the ladder in the scouting grounds. Like Makian was in the challenger scene for a while, so I actually know I've actually seen him play. But that's all I can say really. I don't know anything else about him,
Yeah.
and I don't know Yoshi at all. Just that he's on Crest Gaming, and so I heard that it might just be for Axis only because they play
Mm.
Axis first on week 11. So that game doesn't matter because if they for
They have to
some
win it.
well if they lose to Axis, right, but they beat Dead Nation, they would have the same scoreline, but they win head to head. So that's
Oh,
why.
that's fair. That's
So
fair.
I
All right, I see.
friends
I see.
said that like it doesn't matter, and they might just be giving Yoshi one game
Testing.
for some
Yeah.
reason, like just to mess around. But so even if they lose to Axis, worst case scenario, but they beat Dead Nation, they still win the tiebreaker for first place. But if they lose to Axis and lose Dead Nation, obviously they'll be second. So it's not
Yeah.
that important of a game.
I guess the flip side is also true. If Detonation Focus Me lose to Burning Core but beat Crest Gaming Act, that game also kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that again later on. I think the biggest thing that I just wanted to talk about is we saw last week that Crest Gaming Act lost to Unsold Stuff Gaming
Hmm.
and had a much closer game against Sengoku Gaming than I think anybody was really expecting. I think it's fair to say that they're kind of slumping a little bit. And
It's
it feels weird
possible.
to say because they also lost to V3, like that's not a bad loss necessarily. But since Nap came back, they've kind of struggled a little bit. And I just made a tweet a couple days ago basically saying even when you upgrade, like I think it would be a hard argument to say that Nap is not a better top laner than Grendel,
Hmm.
like individually speaking. But it has changed their style so drastically that I worry that it's going to be costing them a lot of games, just in general. So I just think it's
Yeah.
interesting that it's just a general truth that you can't just upgrade your players and expect to get better results. I could rant about this for a long time, but the one other team that I want to reference here is SKT. I mean, you're looking at Khan in the top lane, who a couple years ago people were lauding as the new Faker of top lane. You literally have Faker. You have Klid, who is supposed to be the superstar jungle. You have Teddy, who is single-handedly keeping Junior Green Wings a relevant team that they just lost right now to Griffin. And then you have crap. What's their support?
Mata or effort?
Yeah, and you have oh yeah, because they have a couple of them.
Mhm.
Right, like you have this superstar roster, and they're just doing okay, right? In LCK, like they're not super dominant, so it's just like kind of one of those things that a lot of people are just like, oh, just upgrade this player. Like we did the same thing looking at Ramune versus Saros. Like we were thinking like Ramune is probably just a better mid laner than Saros, or at least we looked at it at the beginning of the split, and it's just not how it works, right? They put in Ramune for 2 games and he lost.
Yeah.
So
Well,
just a small.
it's also like team dynamics. Like that's something that people don't think about. Like what are the player strengths? Like why would you get like X player over Y? For example, like you see this like very common like NA, like Clutch Gaming was a very good example where they had Piglet and Huni, where you had like Huni's like a very resource heavy top laner that can hyper carry given the right champion, given the right setup. Piglet, very resource heavy 80s carry that wants a lot of attention, a lot of help, but can hyper carry. But then you have this really huge divide in top and bot lane where it's like really hard for the jungle to help both top and bot. So it
Yeah.
can be like you can kind of see like why some of these teams don't work. Like just by looking at okay, yes, Huni is very good. Oh yes, Piglet can be very good, or Huni can be very good, but together like they're not good at all. And I
Yeah.
feel like with this team, like okay, Art is very good, Luna is very good, and so is Nap. Now it's like, oh okay, who do we play around? You can't really, you have to decide as a team because you can't play around everyone. Or
Yeah.
and also like Ramani is a very good example where he brings another dynamic, another angle. But if you can't play that style or play that angle, he doesn't fit the team. Doesn't mean Ramani is a bad player, but he just might not be good for the nation. He might, because he was on Pentagram or Rampage and he was able to win. He was able to do something for his team. On the nation, he's like losing lane, not getting help, not helping other people. It's a very like 4v5. He's like very on his own. He's not a team player in that sense, just because there's no synergy within those 5
Yeah.
players.
So it's interesting. I mean, to bring it back just a little bit to like Yoshi might be that. Like I don't know how he is individually when you compare him to a Chamacha, but he might just fit their style really, really well. And so we'll see what happens when they play Axes and if they choose to field him up against Detonation Focus Me. Like
Yeah.
you already talked about how it might just be for the one game, give him a little bit of stage time, but just food for thought. I just think CG has been clearly in a slump. And it's unclear to me if it's because of a roster change or they're trying new strategy, which I don't feel like they have. I don't feel like they've been playing super differently
Hmm.
in what they've been trying to do. But they're clearly losing games against teams that we were not expecting them to. About halfway through the split. So
Yeah.
that's all that I really had on that topic. Unless you wanted to talk about it a little bit more.
No, I don't really have much else to say. Just because I don't know anything about Yoshi, and I don't see this
Yeah.
as like a permanent change. At least that's what I've been told. Like, who knows? Like, maybe behind the scenes, Hachime's just super toxic, and the team's done with him, and they want to use Yoshi full time. But there's no official announcement or statement. It's only like rumors and speculation. So I don't really have too
Yeah.
much to say. We can
Yeah,
quickly
it
go
is
into
important
week
that everything
11
we say is
then,
speculation.
because
Yeah, so week 11.
it's the last week of the
Um,
LGL,
Yeah,
and there's only
there is literally one game this
Yeah.
entire week that matters. We already touched on this a little bit, right? Detonation Focus Me versus Crest Gaming Act.
Mhm.
Because literally, as we said, Crest Gaming Act could lose to Axis, and Detonation Focus Me could lose to Burning Core, and it just doesn't matter, right? As long as you win that head-to-head, you get first going into playoffs. And
yeah.
everybody else is either, I mean, V3 is guaranteed third. They can't move up to first. I mean, I don't know if they can get second,
They can't
but I
get
also don't care.
second.
Yeah,
It's
so
like,
that
I think you
their
get
spot
side
is locked.
selection
Yeah,
if you're second place, so
Uh,
it's like doesn't really matter.
it's kind of helpful. It's not the end of the world. And then
I
literally
guess.
everybody else is already knocked out of playoffs, so
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you have a prediction for DFM versus Crest Gaming?
I think Detonation Focus Me is gonna take it.
Yeah.
Just watching them, they're on a hot streak. Crest Gaming Act has been over the past 2 weeks. They've been 2-2, losing to V3 and Unsold Stuff Gaming.
Mhm.
Detonation Focus Me is, on the other hand, they've won their past 2 weeks, and the only team that they've lost to, or the most recent team they lost to, was also Unsold Stuff Gaming, which was in week 8.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just it. It's the only game that matters. Everything else is just gonna be fun. So expect a lot of weird off meta picks, or maybe like entire sub rosters coming in. Just crazy stuff happening.
I hope something crazy happens, but I don't know. I could totally imagine these teams just playing straight and boring and just doing their like very safe play style and then just doing nothing. Like the other 7 games, I just want to see like crazy pocket picks, just let people play whatever, like just like no bans, whatever you want to play, just play it. Like
blind pick.
Yeah, blind pick. Just give it blind pick. If there are 7 games of blind pick and you got to see like, okay, this is my signature champion. I'm playing like, okay, I'm gonna play Tompkins tops. Like Evie, okay, let's see your Tompkins top or Hecarim top or whatever. That would be fun.
Give Ray Farkey Darius.
Yeah, like just Ray Farkey, you're playing 2 games with Darius. Let's go. That would be exciting. I'd be excited to watch that, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
I don't think it's likely. I mean, I would love having 2 weeks of All Stars, right? We have All Stars. Is that this weekend?
I believe
this weekend.
No, this weekend's week 11.
Oh no, this weekend's 11, like LJL, and the next weekend is All Stars and Scouting Grounds, and then we have 1 week off before we go to playoffs. I think
something like that. Yeah, 1 week off. Yeah, that's really it's really weird to have. So there's no All Stars for Japan as far as I can tell, except for just this game mode. Like they have a special All Stars just for the LGL, and last time they made the 4 teams play each other randomly, and you can pick whoever you want on your team. But this time they have a proper roster. For example, like game 1, they have an exhibition match for ARAM, but they have a top jungle, mid, ADC, and support. Which, if you've ever played ARAM, being a support main like myself in an ARAM game is like the most useless skill ever. It's like, oh, like Vivid, what are you really good at? I'm good at shot calling, communicating, rotating around barons. Okay,
and Brand.
We're gonna play ARAM. Oh shit, I'm fucked. I can do nothing. So I'm not that excited for these game modes, to be honest. But
I mean, All Stars is never about like the competition. It's more just like watching your players do fun stuff. I'm just really curious to see what teams Eyes and Revel are gonna build and how like the caster coaching is gonna work. Because I don't know how good either of them are. I think I saw that Eyes was like in gold, I believe. Maybe. But I don't think I've ever actually seen Revel play. So I don't know what, like
I think Eyes is platinum or diamond. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure. I feel like I played against him in a rank game on solo queue one time. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it was an LGL caster that I played. One of them had to be in like high plat, low diamond.
Yeah, I mean they added a bunch of new people too, right? There's
Yeah,
Eyes,
that's
Revel,
true.
Jaeger Recruit, and don't they have? I mean Katsudion,
Yeah,
and then always forget the host guy's name,
I don't
but
know the host guy's name.
but you know
Well,
what I'm talking
he's like
about.
I don't know. He's the least interesting. I don't want to blame casters or anything, but it's like everyone else has like a history of like League of Legends or just like League of Legends in general. And but this guy, I don't know anything about him. I don't know his past, so he's just like the
I know
new
he like
guy.
came from something that wasn't League of Legends, but
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway,
we can segue into the main topic of this show, which is how do we fix or how do we improve the LGL format, the regular season and playoffs. So,
yeah,
what are some of your ideas?
I just want to start out. Even just talking about this, it's just the LGL format is currently just really broken. Right? You have 11 weeks. They call it 11 weeks. It's really like 9 weeks where they have
Hmm.
2 super weeks, and it's a best of 3 round robin. And I mean, we talked about this like 2 weeks ago, I
Yeah.
think, where already all 3 of your teams were locked in playoffs, and you couldn't do a whole lot beyond that. You just have all of these guys are going to play. You basically know who's going to be what seed, and since then the games just haven't mattered a whole lot. And I think you had a great quote when we were just talking about this before we actually started, where it's like, if the players don't care about the outcome of their matches, why should I as a viewer?
Hmm.
And I think that really hits home. So there's a lot of different ways you can go about changing it. But I'll go ahead and let you start on what you think would be a good change.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked about this on stream to like a lot of Japanese viewers, and a lot of them have the same like feelings, like where it's like, okay, only 3 teams make playoffs. Like the regular season feels really long. Like every team playing 21 games is like too much. Like especially best of ones. Like I absolutely hate best of ones. They're so boring. I don't care. Like if someone picks like Timo Top and cheeses and gets a win, it's like, okay, you're able to win one game as Timo Top. Like good job. It's whatever. So I absolutely hate best of ones, but I love best of fives. Like best of five playoff format. Like I just want them to decrease regular season best of ones, and you could increase the amount of playoff games, and you can make it really fun and exciting. It doesn't even have to
Mhm.
be best of five, like because obviously in the perfect world, I would have every team play 2 best of 3s against each other. Double round robin, best of 3s only, and then playoff teams, top 6 go to playoffs, best of 5. It's whatever. Like obviously that would be the best, but I understand Riot Japan's formatting, budgeting, or like scheduling. Like those can be an issue. So my idea is just to trim it down to double round robin, best of 1. So you play every team twice. That cuts down the regular season. Expand the playoff spots to 6 teams. Top 2 get a first round bye, like NALCS. Just keep it simple. Things something can follow, people can follow, and then just have third place 6th, fourth place 5th, in like best of 5 scenario. You could do that like really simply, because you have like a double weekend, or you have a week where it's like you play 8 games. 8 best of 1 games is really boring to watch, but you can put like maybe 1 or maybe 2 best of 5s. I don't know if 2 would be possible, but like maybe 1. You have a super weekend. Oh, we'll play 1 quarterfinals, best of 5, best of 5. And that can also still be like really exciting to watch. And I would watch I know this is gonna sound weird, but I would actually watch a best of 5 between like Rascal Jesters and Axis. Like I feel like that would be a lot more interesting. See how the players would adapt to pick ban, like what kind of strategies they'd pull out. Like, oh, game 1 was this, but oh, we went to game 5 and now they're doing this. Even if the games were obviously they're gonna be lower quality, but it'll still be interesting. There'll be hype. But now it's just like, oh, we lost 1 best of 1 out of 21. Whoop de doo, or like, oh, boo hoo. It's like I don't care. I just don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much agree with everything that you just said. I really like the LCK format for the regular season where you have the double round robin. And then you're sorted by wins and losses, but there's
Mhm.
also like the points that are
Yeah, the
associated with it.
game difference.
Unfortunately, LJL only has to send one representative to Worlds, so it's harder to include things like championship points and encouraging teams to be good in the spring split, which is a little bit unfortunate, right? Because the spring
Mhm.
split in LJL literally has no bearing on anything except for MSI. And we sent Detonation Focus Me again. Woohoo! Um, so I think that would be a really interesting way to do it, is to focus a little bit more, find some way to make the spring split matter a little bit more for the region. And I think one way you do this um, is, instead of just having the spring split and the summer split and dividing it as much, is you need to weight the spring split a little bit. So imagine, instead of 2 splits, you have one long season and then a small off season in the middle, right? Where it's like I don't know what you call it, but just like a small period between the spring and the summer where you have the break, you have MSI, you have your all-stars and anything else that you're doing. But then um, you take your spring record and you include it in your summer record. So you encourage, a lot of games to be played, and then transitions to be happening over time. So you get to see teams grow and lose. And I think this is very similar to how the baseball season works in Japan. I know it's very similar to the way that baseball works in the United States, where you play, like, every team plays like 4 games a week for something like 3 months straight.
Mhm.
And so you just have a ton of games, and then you have, I mean, it's very clear which teams are going to be making it to playoffs, but then it also gives you a lot of time where it's like, we know that individual games aren't as important, so let's practice different things. Let's try different strategies. Let's try more players, and then you'll really get to see like really strong teams develop.
Yeah.
Um, the one other thing that I'd like to do is, is I want to break a little bit from what you were talking about with the NALCS playoffs format, and I really, really like the LEC, the
Yeah.
European playoffs format. They still have the 6 teams come through, but it starts off 1 and 2 play each other, and the winner of that goes directly to finals. And then you have 3, 4, 5, and 6 play each other, knocked out there, and then the winners of those play. One of them gets knocked out, and then the winner of that plays the loser of 1 and 2. So getting number 1 or 2 kind of gives you like a double elimination format to actually play with, and I think that's really cool because you get an opportunity to see 1 and 2 play each other before you actually get to the finals, and it doesn't affect a lot of playoffs in general, but it does require one extra best of 5 that you wouldn't have to play with the North American
That's true.
style of games.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer the LEC format. If you've ever watched like Dota or the International, that format is very like competitive with the
Complicated.
like complicated as well, with the huge groups and the double elimination playoff bracket. I feel like that might be too complicated or like really hard to manage. So that's why I just went for the NALCS system, where you just have like, where whoever wins that can just have one. You can have one day of the grand finals, where you don't have to have or second and third potentially playing, and then go back up to another grand finals. That's why I chose the LCS format, just because of the simplicity of scheduling and everything. But I prefer
Yeah.
the LCS. I think it's a really good balance between like, the perfect tournament and like what's actually possible to do within a realistic time frame. So yeah, I really like the LEC format. It's really fun. It's
Yeah,
really
so
interesting.
I think we're pretty much in agreement here. Just the triple round robin with so many best of ones. Um, Players kind of lose interest when it's super obvious that they're not going to have a chance to make playoffs, right?
Hmm.
And when you have 5 of your 8 teams not making playoffs, um, it kind of stops mattering a lot. And as you said, when players don't care about how they're doing or even how they're improving, because they know, like, you look at Unsold Stuff Gaming, and I'm sure at this point that Dasher at this point is trying to make himself look as good as possible so he can get the best offer from either an LJL or an LCK team for the next split, which makes me sad. I hope he stays here in LJL, but I understand what he's doing. He wants to look good because he has something to still play for. But most of the other Japanese players who don't have a chance to go to another region, realistically,
Yeah.
and they're still here, they don't actually have anything left to play for, especially if they think their spot is relatively secure. So
Yeah, I mean, easy way to tell if a player cares or not is you go to their op.gg, you look at how many solo queue games they're playing, and if you see a bunch of ARAMs, a bunch of normals, then you know that player is checked out. Like, I know a bunch of players.
Is there a particular player that you're referring to?
I don't want to call people out. I mean, you could do the research on your own. Just go to op.gg, look at the pro players, or go to Twitch and you can see people streaming and just chilling, having fun. And they were doing this since like week 3 or 4 of the LGL, because they're like, oh, we lost a bunch of best of ones. It's really hard to come back. The team dynamic is crumbling, and okay, we'll just cruise on by. It's like, oh, I guess obviously they're gonna try, but they're not trying. Like, it's like when you're tilted and you play a ranked game, you just queue up, you try not to feed, you last hit, whatever, but you're not like super focused. You're not paying 100% attention. You're just trying. And whenever I see that or hear about this, then I'm just like, okay, then I don't care about your team. Your team's whatever. And I don't see any benefit for having a really long season. They don't sub people out. They don't try out new players. Like, for example, a team like Burning Court, a really long regular season helps them. They get to play out a lot of games. They get a lot of stage time experience. A team like Axis or Rascal Jesters, they don't care. They don't care at all. They don't give a shit. We'll just fill our regular roster. I guess for some reason we'll just throw in a sub or two here and there towards the end, but only for one game. We're not going to let them play multiple games. That would be unacceptable. So Smile, you sit on the bench for one game. Fuck, I don't even know your name. Jungler, Japanese jungler, come in here. You're playing against the nation. Go fucking do whatever. It's like, oh, thanks, Axis. I'm going to learn so much by just getting my ass blasted by Steel. Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, yeah, it was Unica.
Yeah, Unica.
It was another one that came up from Scouting Grounds. Yeah.
And then, so Unica plays a game, he loses. Okay, well, I learned a lot. Next game, I'll do better. What next game? There's no next game. You're on the bench again. Smile's coming back for no reason. We're just going to keep doing this player swap. We're not going to let players grow. So it's like, okay, well, the teams don't know what they're doing. They don't seem to care. The players don't seem to care because they're in this terrible situation, not playing for anything. No player wants to be like, oh, thank God I got 5th and not 6th. Like, I feel so much better. Everyone wants to go to playoffs. Like, that's the, glory. Like, top 3. Yeah. If there's 6 playoff teams, maybe Rask is just still trying to beat Sengoku and get that playoff spot, but because there's nothing like that, instead you get this. This situation.
The one other thing that I just want to talk about is, like, All-Stars is an entertaining event, but why is it when it is? Right, it's not like they're removing playoff team players from participating in All-Stars. I know that at least Evie and Luna, I think they're playing on the same All-Stars team. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but they're definitely playing on teams. And like, this is for the teams that are actually going to playoffs. Like, this is crunch time.
Yeah, like right? Art, Sarah, Steel, Yutori Moashi. There's a bunch of Vivid. There's a bunch of players from the playoff teams that are playing. And I don't know.
I'm just
why.
surprised that it's happening now. I guess it's just to make a longer day because they're already doing the Scouting Grounds and they have like two games or something. I think they're playing 2 best of ones if I remember correctly, and then they're jumping into the All-Stars. But it's just bad timing for the players. It kind of says to me that Japan is a little bit too much of a for fun region in terms of their competition.
Kind of like the message you're sending.
Yeah, so I really want to see, if anybody from Playbrain or Riot Japan is watching this, just something to take a look at for next split. I don't think it takes a whole lot of changes in like your scheduling or anything else like that in order to make this happen. So, I think it's good for the players and for the viewers.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing this LGL All-Star thing, especially before playoffs. That kind of seems weird, but I mean, I guess people watch it, or else they wouldn't do it, or they're hoping people will watch it. So, because as far as I can remember, the last LGL playoffs or All-Stars for spring wasn't that popular. Not many people watched it because they treated it like a regular game, and they're just casting over it. Whereas if you watch like the other regions for funds, they like mic up the players to let the players talk, and you can hear in the communication, and that's something that like can be fun or exciting, and you can hear like
Yeah.
personalities. Because right now it's like, I mean, if I want to have fun, I just tell like the players just to stream, and I can just tune into the stream. I feel like that would be more fun and enjoyable than watching a caster
Wait,
trying
that's
to make a
actually an
game
idea.
exciting. Like that's why PUBG. I mean, we're going off topic a little bit, but PUBG is very popular because streamers can play and they can like stream their game, or Fortnite. They can stream their own private game, and people can listen in on the commentary or them talking and having fun with their teammates.
I
So
don't imagine that you watch Twitch Rivals at all.
no, not really. I
I
watched a
mean, it
little
sounds like
bit.
a really yeah, it sounds like a really bad time slot for you, but that's basically the way that Twitch Rivals works.
Yeah,
So the way that
the Twitch
they
Rivals things were fun, I guess,
yeah,
if you're into that sort of thing. Like, I don't really
so yeah,
care,
that's how you
but
go and watch the players stream,
yeah.
right? And so the way that Twitch Rivals for League of Legends has worked for the past two iterations was they had roll robin is I think what they were calling it. So you take all of your top laners, and there's a pool of top laners, and you have your pool of junglers, mids, ADC supports, and they play with a different team each time. And what you care about is your individual player rankings. So, your individual, your team might be like Evi, Hachamacha, Ace, Keymaker, and then like Tinton retired, Vivid, right? Just like this random team. And if that team wins, everybody gets a +1 and everybody on the other team gets a 0. And then at the end of it, you have an opportunity to play for more. But the big thing is that everybody in the middle of this is also streaming their own perspective. So if you want to go in and watch a specific player, it's easy to do. Everything's
Mhm.
already set up. So maybe that's the way to go about an LJL All Stars for next time.
Yeah. I mean, production value would be harder, but like, or I mean, for example, they
I mean, you
recently
can
had
literally play
the
it from the team houses.
yeah. That I mean, for Twitch Rivals, that would be good. But I was trying to think of like, for example, recently they did the NALCS Teamfight Tactic show match. They had like the
Oh, I
owners
didn't
and
even know
like
about that.
oh, they had owners and like players playing Teamfight Tactics on the stage, and you could hear them talking to each other. They were like trash talking, saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you" or whatever, or like, "Oh, not now you're in trouble." Like it was like a little bit fun, you know. So
People complaining about their bad rolls.
I wish they would like do something interesting like that. I'm not
Yeah.
looking forward to All Stars. Maybe the coaches and caster one, just to be like, oh, this coach is really bad. Well, yeah, he doesn't play League, he coaches League. Like, I mean, there's a lot of like, I wouldn't even say a lot. I feel like most coaches in the LGL are actually pretty high ranked in solo queue. I'm trying to
I mean,
think.
I don't think that's definitely not the only way that you measure the worth of a coach, but
No, no, I mean, like, I'm just
it
saying
is
about the
also
show
yeah.
match. Like some of the best coaches are like bronze or like silver. Like Koma's like heart stuck gold 4 or something like that, and everyone calls him like the best coach in the world, and
Oh
he's like
yeah.
gold or something like that. So it's like, that's I'm trying to. I think everyone in the LGL is probably like high diamond or challenger if they were playing in Japanese solo queue. I'm trying to think who wasn't. Yeah, I think so. Maybe the Axis coaches. I don't know much about them, but I'm pretty sure one of them played like amateur in Korea for a bit. So that might be
Cool.
interesting. But besides that, I don't really care about LGL All Stars. It's kind of weird to have LGL All Stars this time, so it's
Yeah.
not something I'm too excited about. This really does feel like a for fun region, though. Now that you mention it, it feels really.
Yeah,
I feel really
especially
bad.
at this point of the year, right? It's just nothing is important. We have one game that we care about, and it might be the single most important best of one the entire split.
Mhm.
I mean, is there anything that comes close? I don't think so. Like maybe you could say if one of them had won one of the previous head-to-heads, and so one of them had a 2-0 already, like this game wouldn't even matter. But as
Yeah,
it is, like this
exactly.
is the single most important game that either of these teams have played this entire split. So, that's cool, and I'll definitely watch that. But everything else I'll only watch if I think you started talking about how like you were only gonna watch them if you saw like weird picks
Yeah,
coming through. Otherwise,
that's what I
like,
did last
whatever.
week and the week before. Or like if I were to do VOD reviews, like if people suggested, "Hey, watch this game," I'll watch it. And I would just look at Twitter, see pick ban. I'm like, anything interesting? Oh, Kindred 80K. I wonder how that will work. Well, if you watch the game, you know exactly how that worked. But like stuff like
Yeah.
that, I'll watch it and just be like, "Oh, this is kind of interesting. Like, is it viable? Is it like really bad?" Obviously, Kindred 80K is really bad, but just because it's a new pick, I don't want to just like poop all over it. I just want to watch the game and actually like judge with my own eyes.
It won. Yeah. It had nothing to do with Yuhi's Kindred, but it won.
Yeah, it won. So I guess Kindred ADC has 100% win rate right now. I don't know any other person that
Probably.
played ADC Kindred.
I mean, I think there's good reason for that. I know that
Yeah.
I've lost to it in one of my normal games that I've played.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, it's worth noting that I am not an AD carry player, and the guy who was supporting me was also like a jungle main.
Oh.
So it didn't go very well, but it was fun. It happens.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah,
But
I think
yeah,
that's
I think
it.
that's honestly about it. We said there's going to be a shorter weekend, so we're currently under an hour.
Yeah.
So I'll hang out for like 2 minutes or so, maybe, to see if
Okay.
anybody has any questions,
Yeah, if
anything
you
they want
guys
to
have
talk.
questions, we can try to answer. Anything in the chat? I don't see anything too interesting in the chat. Just some messages of
I mean,
love
some
and hate.
LS fanboy, Ochi
Yeah.
Duke. I see you with your LS. Uh, emote.
Oh,
That's the term.
okay. LS fanboy. LS would be an interesting coach to have on, but he doesn't
Is
care about the
CGA going to
LGL.
become TSM? What does that even mean, Maple Street? I don't
Oh,
even know what this
because
question means.
TSM subbed in their jungler for playoffs.
Oh,
I don't know. I highly doubt Art is like flaming Hachimecha the whole time and they're having arguments. The spicy meme where Sven and Acadian was fighting.
yeah.
I don't know. TSM looks bad, but so does. I mean, CJ. It's all about relative strength. I don't think CJ is that bad. They'll probably be in the finals unless if they have huge mental issues.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that they're going to have that many issues coming through. God damn, fucking TSM with their switching out two of their junglers at the very end of the season in order to put in Spica,
Spica.
Spica.
I thought that was a
As their new
racist
jungler.
term, but apparently if you have the A at the end, it's okay. So that's two TSM junglers with racist names. So I don't know. There's something about TSM junglers. Like the
Oh
amount
yeah,
of
because
junglers TSM ruined
Svenskeren
is
got in trouble one
insane.
time. It was TSM Svenskeren, right, when he got
Yeah,
in trouble in China. Yeah.
I think it was Thorin that made the joke where he was like right before they picked up Svenskeren, he made that racist name, and then he got banned. Then they picked up Svenskeren, and he was like really good for TSM. They were able to like do really well. So maybe Reginald's thinking, I need a jungler with a racist name, pull him in, and he can help me win playoffs. Something along those lines. I gave it a little chuckle, but I don't know what they're thinking. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to. This is why I don't really shit on LGL teams too hard, because when you watch like other regions where they have like more financial backing, more infrastructure, they still do like really weird like things right before playoff. I don't know.
don't forget Grigney.
Yeah,
Shenanigram, yeah.
I know. That's what I said. The two junglers on TSM. I'm trying to think. Is
Yeah.
Acadian? Could Acadian be anything racist? Maybe there's a
Not
pattern.
in English. I can't imagine it's something bad in English.
No,
I mean, I'm a pretty good English speaker, and I don't know of anything.
I haven't heard anything about Acadian, so I think it's okay. Yeah.
Well, I think that about wraps it
Yeah, I
up
think
for
that's
this
it.
week. So it was short. Make sure to tune in to Crest Gaming Act
Mm-hmm.
versus DFM this weekend to see who's going to be getting
2
first
more
place
days.
during the regular season, and then yeah, we'll be back. I expect I'll probably take a break between now and like the week of playoffs. unless you really want to watch All Stars and Scouting Grounds and talk about that a little bit, but Warriors is like, So
No.
I think we'll probably hold off on that. So we probably won't have an episode next week, or maybe even the week after that. So you'll have to look for us towards the end of August, very beginning of September.
Yeah. I don't know when
for
will
the
we
next
have the
time.
next episode. Because I don't know if we want to talk about semifinals. I mean, no, we could talk about semifinals. That might be interesting. Or we could just. It depends on the games.
We'll talk.
We'll watch
talk
the games and then I'll
you
decide.
guys will know.
Yeah,
Pay
we'll
attention
tweet
to
about it.
Twitter.
Hopefully, we'll try to schedule that
Yeah.
better. Wait, anything happening? Anything going on? Anything you want to shout out before we head out?
Actually, don't.
All right.
Not this time.
Yeah. Just follow our Twitter, follow everything, and you'll catch us
below.
live whenever we're talking or whenever.
Follow
we're ready.
Tsukuyomi Esports.
Okay. Well, thanks for watching episode 8, and we'll see you guys next time. So thank you. Bye.